Hey there, what's up? Why is the word there? Thank you so much for joining me for another video. In today's video, I am going to be speaking about brushes and good news. Look at this. I have a full arsenal of brushes this time. If you watched my last video, you would have known what happened last time, unfortunately, but we're back in control, you know? We have all of them. And if you haven't checked out my last video, definitely go ahead and check it out. That was a soft glam or no makeup type of look, which is very beginner friendly. Okay, so let's get this video started. So you might be wondering, why are there so many different brushes? What is the purpose of them? Don't they all do the same thing? No, sis. They don't all do the same thing. And today specifically, I'm going to be diving into which brushes are best for hooded eyes. So rule of thumb, what you want to remember is that smaller brushes are your friends for hooded eyes, because one, our eyes are already small and the hood kind of droops over our lid. So the smaller the brush, the more precision and the more control you have when placing your shadows. So you would want to get a brush kind of like this. You see how the top, let me use yours on my hand. You see how it's very small at the top and it's kind of dome shaped. This is a good brush. An example of a bad brush or something you might not want to use for hooded eyes is a brush like this. And I know what you're probably thinking, isn't that the same brush I used in the last video? Yes, a disclaimer. Again, if you watched my last video, you would know the reason why I had to settle for this brush, and I could get away with using it because I knew what I was doing. I'm going to make this eye the don't, and this side will be the do side. So for our bad brushes, this is what we'll be using as the bad brushes. Now again, notice for this one, it does have the same dome shape as the other one, but it's a bigger version. Like, look at the brush, it's a bigger version of it, and I put this here and it takes up all this space. So these are the bad brushes. I'm going to be using this red color here, this green, and this yellow color here. So using the bad brush, first thing I'm going to do, and oh yeah, by the way, my eyes are primed already. I used a lighter concealer and I set with a little bit of powder. Now I'm going into that red. And another thing you don't want to do when doing eyeshadow is just dipping the brush in it, taking up too much product at once. But that's too much product. What you want to do is take your eyeshadow, dust off the excess a little, and then go right in, because this is going to give you a lot of fallout. What you don't want to do is just take this brush and, you know, put it everywhere. Also notice how, you know, I didn't put down any transition shade or anything here. This is also something that you don't want to do. I would say probably 9 out of 10 times you would want to use a transition shade. So just keep that in mind. So with this big brush, I'm keeping it in one area, but you see how far the shadow went. So that's what I mean by when you use big fluffy brushes, it just puts product all over the place and you don't really have control. And again, from my last video where I mentioned, if you have 2 brushes or you don't have a lot of brushes, you can have a piece of tissue with you and then, you know, just clean it up with either a makeup wipe or a tissue if you're using one brush for multiple shadows. So that's a tip there for you. Now the next color we're going to be going in with is the green. I just loaded up the brush with it, sorry, and then you see how much space that took up on my eye? I'm staying in one area, I'm literally just doing this, but you see how much space that took up? So it probably might not look as bad, but it's bad. So yeah, so then you just taking this fluffy brush and you just putting this here like that. You kind of don't want to do that. And also, because this brush is so fluffy, another thing that it is doing is that it kind of makes the shadow go on lighter than I would want it to be. Next, taking the other bad brush, the dome shaped one, we're going to go into that yellow. Do you see how some of the yellow is on the green right now? Do you see that? I hope you guys see that. I'm trying my best to make you guys see. But literally all I did was this, and this is the reason why you don't want to use big brushes like this when you have hooded eyes, because it gets everywhere. And again, notice how on the top here, because we didn't put down any transition shade, so this is not blended on the top here, and you don't want that. Blend your makeup, sis. Blend your makeup. And by the way, I made a TikTok about that on my page. Definitely go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you have not already. Thank you to those who did. I am also on Twitter. You can find me at melanated M, and on Instagram I am __ melanated messages. So definitely go ahead and check that out. Don't be that girl in that video who left her house without blending her eyeshadow. Okay? Tough love, sis. I'm gonna tell it to you if nobody else is gonna tell it to you. I'm gonna let you know what time it is. Blend your eyeshadow. Now again, when you're using the bad brushes, you don't have a lot of options, so you might tend to go back to this brush here. Now, do you notice how muddled all the colors on top here are getting, and it just starting to look like one big ashy mess? That's why you don't go for brushes like this. These are some of the good brushes that I will be using. We have an all-around blending brush. I'm sorry, an all-around blending brush, and then we have other eyeshadow brushes. Now this, it may look like a big brush when I put it like that, but when I do this, I'm going to use it vertically. And then the next one, it's kind of the same situation. I'm going to use it vertically. The other good brush that I'm going to be using is this one, and it's so tiny. And this is kind of what you want, especially when you're doing detail. So now what you want to do, guys, is put down a transition color. And speaking to the girls with the hooded eyes especially, make sure you're at the front of the class. And I want everybody in the back to hear this too, okay? We need to put down transition shades in general, but for the girls with hooded eyes, I feel like it's so much important because it helps us with the blend, and it kind of avoids the situation over here where your shadows go too far up into your eyebrow and it doesn't look cute. Now I know we have an excuse kind of to blend our shadows all the way up here because we don't have a lot of space on our eyes otherwise, so we get a get out of jail free card with that. Now I'm just going to take that same blank eyeshadow from last time. Another tip, whenever you are using colorful eyeshadows and you're using multiple of them, I would encourage you to start off with the color in the middle first. Here's why, especially if you're using more than 3 shadows, because if you start in the inner corner first, or the outer corner first like I did on this eye, you might end up taking up more space than you want to. But if you start in the middle, it kind of serves as a guide as to how much or how little of other colors that you should put. Now I'm going in with the green, since the green is the color in the middle here. Again, dabbing off the excess. Once again, for the hooded eye girls, you want to look forward. You want to look straight forward with your eye open. Try to, as much as possible, and thus it would feel a little uncomfortable, but just do this for me. Here's the reason why you're doing this with your eye open. This is going to show you this is going to give you a preview as to how your eyeshadow is going to look when your eye is open, because your eye is going to be open most of the time. Your eye is not going to be like this all day. Like, I know we're trying to be blind to these haters, but your eye is going to be open. Again, with my brush in a vertical direction, I'm now just stretching my eye and tapping that shadow. Now I'm not going past here because I don't want the green to get too far up in my eyebrows. Again, if you hear any noise outside, just please ignore that. And also another thing that is happening, I want you to take note of, is because we put that transition color right under our eyebrow, even when I do put the brush right here, all of the green doesn't transfer from the brush to my lid because the brown shade is acting as kind of a buffer to lighten it. And that's what you want, especially when you're going up there. I want all the pigment to be, you know, lower down. I'm just going on the sides of where I put the green. Notice I'm not going in the center because I want the color to show. I'm not going in this center. I'm just on the sides of it, and I'm dragging out the very edges. I am going to be using the same blending brush to apply the yellow, but before I use it to put the yellow, I'm going to blend out the other parts of my eye. Next, the little space that I left between the red and the green, I'm stretching my eye. Now what you can do is, because I want the look to go in this direction, I'm going to be dragging my eyeshadows that way. And don't be afraid to go back, or you should actually go back between the brushes you used previously if you feel like you lost some of the color that you put there. Again, you don't want to get too carried away, but the goal is to not see where the red starting with a hash line. Obviously you will see one part red, one part green, but you don't want to see the line of where you start putting the red. So that is the goal of us blending. What you're seeing me doing here is building up that yellow shade in the inner corner of my eye, and I'm using the small blending brush from earlier to do this, and I cleaned it off prior to me using it. So you're seeing different ways that I'm using the same brush over and over again to accomplish this look. Now I've cleaned off this brush again, and I'm going to just take that same transition color we used earlier and go on the top, around the top. And I'm also using little circular motions like this at the same time. I'm starting my foundation now. This is the Fenty Hydrating Formula, and I'm in the shade 400. So I'm just putting that, and the instructions at the back literally says to massage well. So this is why I'm kind of using my finger first to help me even it out, and of course I'm going to use my blending sponge to go over it. So I'm blending up my foundation, as I said, and then you're going to see me take my setting spray and lightly go over my face. And the reason I do this is to help my makeup last longer. So there's the setting spray, that's the Sasha Fix It setting spray, and you're seeing me block my eyes because I do not want the setting spray to disturb my eyeshadow. So next I am concealing. I do actually have a video just for that on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page, and it is also in my previous video where I explain. I've also applied that concealer on my chin. I put some up here on my forehead, and now I let it dry down a little, and now I'm going to blend it up. Oh, by the way, guys, do you notice how bothered people on social media are about celebrities not saying anything, and oh, this person didn't say anything, and that I'm speaking about, you know, the racism and the riots, etc. People are really here talking, getting upset. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel some people depending on the celebrities too much. I mean, it's not your money. It's not your money, so as much as you want to see them do something, you cannot tell them what to do. You can ask, you can make suggestions, which is what people have been doing, but I'm not going to digress into that too much because I do have a full episode about this already on my podcast, the Melanated Messages podcast, which is available on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts. It's also on Pocket Casts. I'm trying to get it everywhere. Okay, so you can go ahead and listen to that wherever you listen to your podcast. I will leave the link down below in the description. Okay, I'm going to be using my Sasha Buttercup setting powder to set all the places that I put concealer. Next, I'm going into contour. Earlier, I did use the Dark Cocoa concealer, and now I'm setting that with the contour powder from the Black Radiance palette. Here, what I'm doing is I'm moving away any excess powder that I would have from the Sasha powder. And now I'm going into highlights using that same Black Radiance palette, and I'm going to give myself a nice profile highlight, so not just on my cheeks but also on the side of my face next to my eyebrow a bit. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side of my face, and I'm going to then highlight my nose, the bridge of my nose as well, and a little bit on my lip. Okay guys, so my camera died and I had to put it to charge for a little bit. The battery's still kind of low, but I did my lipstick off camera while it was charging, and now we're going back with our palette, and I'm just going to take the small dome brush and just add some shadow at the bottom of my eye. I'll take the green. And just smudge it under my eye. Oh, and when you're doing this, you wanna tilt your head down so your face can be stretched, but try to look up as much as possible. And because we've already set our concealer, be careful with this. I should have actually did this while I still had some of the powder on, so that way if I had any fallout that I could just sweep it off. But you know, so when you're recreating this, definitely go ahead and do this step before. Okay, so and I use that same dome brush, and then I used this shimmer color, that one, and this one, and now I am going to put on my lashes and come back and I'll give you my final thoughts on the takeaway of this look. Alright guys, and this is the final look that we created today, more of like, you know, liberation color vibes. And today what we went over, brushes. So these are the brushes that we use for the good size, and just a recap as to why you'd want to use brushes like these. They are smaller, which gives you more precision and control when you are doing your makeup, especially if you have hooded eyes. You want to use tools that are smaller so you can really get into those tight spaces around your eye. Let me know what you think, guys. Did you learn something from this? When you do, if you do recreate this look, definitely tag me on Instagram at melanated messages. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you like what you saw here or heard, and go ahead and leave a comment down below. I love interacting with you guys. I love seeing the comments. Please enjoy the rest of your day, stay safe as usual, and have a great day. Mwah.